Within a matter of seconds, you are free from the pit, and the world is still once again as you stand in the silence. This time, however, it isn't just you in this wasteland. You feel a presence, the eyes and ears of the Elder, watching, listening, lurking, and you know there is no escape. You're afraid to move. The thought of the unavoidable betrayal has you overcome with guilt. If only Frederick had known of his true purpose, his true origins, none of this would be happening. This realm would be in order, and the elders would be under control. Although, now their faces have been revealed to the world, perhaps their natures and motives would change. They had gotten used to inflicting the terror behind a blank canvas, but now they no longer had that barrier. As you take your first couple of steps, that voice, that haunting, dreaded voice rings in your head.
The way I see it is you help me, or I kill you right now.
You're conflicted, but you know your only chance of remaining is to accept her terms and play by her rules. Through your shuddered breaths and the crunch of decay beneath your feet, you hear a pure and innocent sound. Laughter, that of a child coming from the distance. The thought of there being children in this realm makes you shudder. This was a world filled with fear, destruction, and eternal suffering. No place for a child. You venture further, creeping through the overgrowth until you finally catch sight of the lilac-eyed being. An older woman lingers by her, a being who you assume to not only be her acceptor, but also her guardian, the one in charge of keeping her safe. You try to keep yourself hidden behind the thick briars, but her wide-eyed curiosity catches sight of you almost instantly. She is quick to withdraw from her watcher and makes her way to your side. She clutches your hand with her cold metal grasp and leads you away to what appears to be a small cabin-like structure. It looks more like a cottage from some kind of fairy tale. The outside is wrapped in dark green ivy, and the windows are stained glass, with each fragment being a different shade of red. She ushers you inside to get her first look at you away from the watchful eyes of her companion. She is in awe at your lack of cracked skin and clear differences between you and the others around her. Before she has a chance to speak, the older chaser is hot on her heels, following her inside and closing the door behind her. The guardian wanders over to one of the windows overlooking the majority of the wilderness before turning her attention back to the young and curious being. She doesn't even need to gaze upon you. By the wonder in the youngster's eyes, she knows straight away exactly what you are.
We should have left it out there for an elder to find. You know fine well what will happen to us if we're caught, Evelyn. You're usually so sensible. What's so different this time?
The young girl is completely dismissive of the woman's statement and stares intently at you, as if she has discovered a new toy to play with.
Someone's gone to great trouble to keep it hidden. Those eyes are the eyes of a chaser. Could this be Elliot's handiwork?
At this point, you've completely given up even attempting to fit in with the other chasers. Even a child was able to see through your conjured-up illusion.
You know not to mention that name around here.
Calm down. She'll never hear us talking, she's patrolling. Besides, she's never told us why we can't talk about him, which makes me want to find out more about him.
The older of the two lets out a slight laugh, as she sees the girl's interest building more and more with every word.
Well, you won't get any information from that You won't get any information from a link. They don't speak. They can't.
You notice the woman's eyes dart to and from the window every few seconds, and even mentioning the word link seems to make her feel uneasy.
Fascinating. Why can't they speak?
I don't know. But the elders believe that the links know and remember too much for the living world in this state, and once they've been sorted into chasers, then the vast majority of their memories are wiped.
Lily seems to remember her life clearly.
Lily's under the control of the elders. One step out of line and they won't hesitate to take her memories from her. Have you not noticed how much she's changed?
Tell me the story again. About the chasers.
You've heard this story hundreds of times. You don't need to hear it again. And calling it a story, well, that would imply what I'm telling you isn't true. We've been over this, Evelyn.
The child grabs your hand once again and pulls you to the ground, where she waits patiently, legs crossed, for the chaser still standing to begin.
I like the way you tell it.
Fine. Wait here.
She wanders over and checks the window once again, this time taking a longer look. You try to stay calm, as the crime of betrayal rests solely on your shoulders. The elder is amongst them, in the room, silently waiting and listening.
We have to be careful with the link here. This realm has existed since the beginning of time. Souls who once existed within the living world become a part of this one when they are between life and death. When death eventually occurs in the real world, the soul who is bound to this world is stripped of all of their memories from the mortal realm. And if a soul is accepted by one or more chasers, well, they remain here. But if not, they fade into the uncertainty of the unknown.
You can tell there is a question dwelling on the young girl's mind as she looks up at her companion. She gently taps the floor as she ponders before asking,
Did I have a family once? Outside of this world?
Most likely, my little sweet pea. But I am sure they missed you so very much when you left.
I wonder if they look like me.
Your heart breaks for the child and her longing for the family she has forgotten. The small building is quiet. The only sounds were the hushed words from the guardian explaining the ways of the world, which, judging by the child's wide eyes, she just enjoyed hearing about, like it was some kind of fairy tale.
How do Lily and Rosaline remember their families?
Well, Lily and Rosalind are special chasers called superiors. The elders entrust them to keep an eye on all the other chasers. They have to be very careful about what they tell us. Revealing too much about their lives and those of the living world, well, that would result in their status being taken away, and it would cause their memories to once again be wiped and perhaps even end their existence within this world.
Do you think they have family here?
That's a good question. I've never really thought about it, but if they did, then they would never be able to tell them. They could watch over them, but the truth would unfortunately have to remain hidden.
That's quite sad, isn't it? Having to watch your family from a distance.
That's just the way this world works, my little sweet pea. Rosalind accepting you in this realm still makes me so angry. You don't deserve to be here, Evelyn. This is no place for a child.
But if I didn't come here, I would have never met you. You're my family now.
This wholesome moment is cut short as the door flies open and yet another woman walks through. This being is highly decorated, draped in gold robes showered in emeralds. She pulls down the hood of the fabric, revealing her perfectly intact skin beneath. Her eyes do not glow, but the many jewels she possesses shine brightly, reflecting the radiance from the other lights filling the room. She doesn't notice you at first, turning her attention to the pair she is aware of.
What are you two whispering about?
The young girl leaps to her feet with excitement.
Roxy was telling us stories.
The word us piques her interest as she turns to face you, her eyes widening as soon as she sees you.
What are you doing? You should know better than to bring Lynx here, both of you.
Especially you, Roxanne.
She's just a child, Rosalind. I can't blame her for being curious.
Being curious and being foolish are two very different things. The status I have means we can't have them lurking around. One slip-up could mean the end of our existence. Don't you understand that?
Well, send it back out then, Rosalind. An elder will find it eventually.
Even this superior, a being of a higher power, has a clear and unshakable fear of the elders. And you know you've unwillingly brought this evil into what you assume to be their safe haven, a place where they can remain together peacefully. There was no point casting you out for anyone to find. You had already been found.